On Government Order of the Day number 1.
Government Notice of Motion number 4.
The Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, I move that this House establish a committee to consider and report to it on such legislation concerning the referendum on electoral system and reform to the electoral finance regime that may be referred to it. The committee to consist of 12 members to be nominated by parties to the Speaker as follows: New Zealand National 4, New Zealand Labour 3, Green Party 1, ACT New Zealand 1, Maori Party 1, United Future 1 and Progressive 1, and that the committee have the authority to meet at any time while the House is sitting, except during oral questions, during an evening on a day on which there has been a sitting of the House on a Friday in a week in which there's been a sitting of the House, and outside the Wellington region during a sitting of the House, despite standing orders 187, 189 and 190, 1B and C. Mr Speaker, the bills that are referred to at the start of that motion are both very important bills that do come under the general heading of constitutional bills. The MMP referendum to be held following the passing of the legislation to enable it will choose a new electoral system for New Zealand, and it's important that all of the parties in this House at least have an opportunity to decide or to form the bill so that New Zealanders can make the best possible choice for the sort of electoral system we have in the future. Mr Speaker, reform to the electoral finance regime is something that affects all politicians and the general public, and I think it's very, very important that we have as much consensus as possible about how those arrangements are to be in place going forward. They've been controversial in the past, as all of us in this House know. Mr Speaker, I can report to the House that my colleague, the Honourable Simon Powell, Minister of Justice, has been working constructively with parties in the House to ensure that this process is going to work extremely well. I want to make reference to the latter part of the motion, which empowers the Select Committee to meet at various times outside of standing orders. Mr Speaker, it's not intended that this committee will be operating in a way that is disrespectful either to the Parliament or to the legislative process. The provisions that are here are largely to accommodate the smaller parties who have difficulty getting members to this committee when they are committed to other select committees at the same time. The point has been well made, Mr Speaker, that we do have adequate time, particularly during recesses, for this committee to go about its work to ensure that as many New Zealanders as possible have their say on these particular bills. So, Mr Speaker, with those few comments, I indicate our party's support for this.
Members, the question is that the question be agreed to. Before I take the next caller, could I just say there's a number of noisy conversations going around our House. Could members please conduct these outside?
Mr Speaker.